So, Steve, my
Yes.
man,
Yes.
since this is your first theater room in a while now, what did they give me? Oh, hold on. Let's
How
let's
long's it been? Oh,
let's start off with a synopsis of the movie. Okay, we're going full spoilers. If you're watching this live, this is your spoiler warning. If you're watching on YouTube, this is your spoiler warning. Go see the movie and then watch this later. We in this movie, it starts off with the Guardians. If you didn't watch the holiday special, are living on nowhere. They've adopted it as their new headquarters. They're still, basically heroes for hire. Um, Rocket is a little kind of effed up because of his past, and all of a sudden, Adam Warlock comes in, just demolishes the place, and in the process, pretty much puts Rocket on his deathbed. In order to save him, the Guardians have to go to the person who created him, which is the High Evolutionary. Chaos ensues, and we'll get to the more nitty gritty about everything later on. Um, so, Steve, you actually saw this movie. Give
yes.
you the spotlight here. What were your thoughts? Just initial quick thoughts.
It 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. He's taking a page out of my book here.
10 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal.
Did you watch Guardians 1 and 2? Let me ask that question.
Of course.
I don't know, of course. I mean, we're talking about you here.
I mean, we've had discussions on it. Well, we're talking about me. Okay.
I'm saying we don't know. We don't know that you watch Guardians 1 and 2. Carmine, what are your thoughts?
So, like initially, like this movie is very smart. It's very smart how they did it. They gave us Rocket's backstory without having to like shoehorn it in at all. Using the plot device of Rocket's basically on his deathbed the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
So this way they can do flashbacks without it feeling like heavy-handed. Was really smart in my opinion. It's just this movie was so good from beginning to end. It just doesn't miss. Like I'm giving it the CGC 10, so it's a 9.8.
9.8. The CGC 10. You heard it here, folks. 9.8. And I'm gonna just kind of piggyback off of that. I feel like this movie just really solidifies, if you didn't kind of have this in your head already, that the MCU is losing probably one of the best, if not the best director that they had with James Gunn. The movie was just awesome, firing on all cylinders. It was emotional, but it was a natural progression for where the story was before, when the characters were, and it's just a freaking. I'll give it a CGC perfect score as well, 9.8 out of 10. It was just really just unbelievable. So getting into some of the kind of a nitty gritty here, you mentioned, Carmine, that the story focuses on Rocket.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. When we say it focuses on Rocket, it basically this is the story where we get his background and what made him who he is. And I love the fact that it kind of explains why he's obsessed with getting the like the limbs, you know what I mean? Like he's got this, like, throughout the series, he keeps telling him, I want that guy's eyeball, I want that guy's leg, so on and so forth. It's like a big joke. But you find out here that the reason for that is because it basically reminds him of the friends he lost when he was being tortured essentially by the High Evolutionary, which is just, this is why you plan for a trilogy.
Yeah.
What, out of all the characters, besides Rocket, because we'll probably go deep into Rocket, out of all the characters, Steve, which one do you think kind of stood out the most in this movie?
That's really hard. As a duo, Drax and Manus. Like they were phenomenal
as a duo. That's actually I wasn't even thinking about duos.
They were phenomenal together. Adam Warlock, amazing.
I gotta get a picture of Adam Warlock up here. Drax and Manus were very funny. This was clearly a continuation of the holiday special.
Yeah, absolutely was. I think they did a really good job of hitting all of the characters, right? Like they really did a good job. By the end of the movie, you know exactly where each character in the Guardians is heading.
Yep. And why.
And they did a good job of like wrapping up each one of their storylines while also continuing each one of their storylines in a way. They really did a good job of simplifying it to a point where it's just like this is where they're going. Like this is where this person's going, this is where that person's going, and this is where they're going to be for the future of the MCU, which is great because now we have some like solidified, like, hey, this is where the future of this franchise is going. Like you mentioned earlier that the MCU is losing probably its best director between Gunn and the Russos. They've lost their best directors.
I agree.
And
well, Ryan Coogler is still there. He's definitely up there.
Coogler's still there, but he's not 100% in. You know what I'm saying? Like he does just Black Panther. He doesn't seem like he wants to do anything else.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Even I can't think of the guy's name now, but the one who directed Shang-Chi, he wants to do more, but I don't think he wants to do anything else. I know he's doing Kang Dynasty, but like I feel like that's more of a kind of like Marvel being like, well, you kind of have to do this. It's going to tie in so much. You have to do this one.
I mean, I'm sure he's going to do Shang-Chi 2 also.
Yeah, but when are we going to get that? I mean, that's not until phase 7, I guess.
Who knows? But
can I tell you who I think was the standout in the movie for me? Let me pull out a picture of this person, because I feel like this person absolutely killed it. Nebula. I thought that like
she did
the character development. I know, Carmine, you talk about character development all the time. Her plot from where she started in Guardians 1 as this like killing machine to where she is now is just one of the more well-written and natural kind of progressions of a character in all of the MCU, in my opinion.
To where she's like the leader of nowhere and all of these lost souls.
Right.
It's so amazing that they went that route with her.
2 moments that really stood out to me. There's a moment where Gamora is arguing with the whole Guardians, basically, because she doesn't want to fight the High Evolutionary. And she basically is about to attack Quill, and Nebula steps in, protects Quill, and Gamora goes, you know, they're my family, whatever, or I'm your family. And Nebula says, and so are they. And it's like to go from somebody who basically felt like she was alone to now she has this group that she'll die for if she needs to. And then her reaction, the other moment was her reaction when she first heard Rocket's voice after everything had happened. And the fact that she basically started crying, she couldn't even catch her breath in that moment, was like just phenomenal. Karen Gillan has completely owned this role, and I feel like she was the best character in the whole movie. Everyone had moments. You're absolutely right, but she was like by far the best character in the whole movie.
I think that was the smartest thing that they did, was to give everybody that moment where they shine.
Yep.
You know, to give Drax the moment where who's talking to him, and they say to Drax that like he's the only one that doesn't hate himself, and that he's not a destroyer.
I think that was well, Mantis says it.
Mantis says, yeah. That he's the only one that doesn't hate himself, and then Nebula turns to him and says he's not a destroyer, that he's a father.
Yep.
You know, like
talk about getting emotional.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge emotional moment in that movie, and it resonates because you see him with the kids, and you see him being able to be the only one that can talk to the kids, be the only one that can lead the kids. Like the only one the kids will listen to is Drax.
Right, and this whole time we see him being like almost like a doofus and a little kind of playful, but like, you know, for her to say that, we see it because his daughter, he had a daughter, he had a family. Like, this is what he wanted. This is what he's been built for.
Exactly, and they say it over and over again, like you're dumb, blah 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 blah. And man, it's like he's not dumb. He's the only one that doesn't hate himself out of all of us. Like the rest of us just.
Everyone's got problems. Every single one of them's got problems.
Like Peter also, like he starts off in this movie as a drunk, not being able to get over Gamora, and throughout the movie with him working with Gamora, it seems he finds closure in that.
Mm-hmm. I actually love the little. For me, it was a little detail too that he's drunk. All he cares about is drinking and just getting hammered and passing out. And then Rocket is basically about to die, and he, without even hesitating, immediately is back into leader mode. Get to the ship and let's go get this guy.
Yeah.
Even when they found out about the High Evolutionary, just the whole conversation where Gamora is like, you know, like we don't mess with the High Evolutionary, and Drax is like, well, we're not messing with him. We're just gonna go fuck him up, basically. And everyone else is like, yeah, this isn't. You think we're playing? We're not playing. We're gonna go take this guy down.
Yeah.
This is just so well done.
Speaking of the High Evolutionary,
yeah, I was just gonna say. Speaking of him,
like,
pull up a picture of that guy.
What a fucking villain! This was better than Kang. He was better than Kang. Like he was scarier. He was more maniacal than Kang, in my opinion.
So what's funny is, I've been reading this narrative that he's better than Kang. They should replace Kang with him as the big bad of Phase 5 and 6. I don't know. I feel like we've seen two different. Yeah, I can't even say his name. I don't want to ruin it.
I'm trying not to butcher his name, but
I don't know that he's better than Kang. I think we're seeing them at two different points. And the way I'm kind of picturing it is, we saw He Who Remains, who was essentially ready to retire.
Yeah.
Right? He wasn't trying to fight. He wasn't trying to conquer. He literally just wanted somebody to take over so he could end it. So he got what he wanted. Then we see Kang the Conqueror, And at that point, he's been exiled from the Council of Kangs, essentially trapped in the quantum realm, there by himself for however long. The only friend he had in Quantumania was Janet Van Deen, and she left him. So it's like we almost see him at his lowest point, where he's just trying desperately to get out. And with the High Evolutionary, we see him basically at the height of his powers. Like he's not trying to be some like I take over the world guy. He wants to be left alone just to experiment. So like I feel like we saw them at two different like times, and it's hard to compare the two. Performance wise, the argument can be made that Juichi did a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
but
that was bad.
I can't even attempt it. It's
Chuck
so
Woody.
hard to
Just
say.
call him Chuck Woody.
Chapudi? Is that what you said?
That's his first name, Chuck Woody.
Chawudi?
Chuck Woody.
I can't even tell what you're saying.
Djibouti?
Right I should look it up. I can't even tell what you're saying.
I'm reading it right now. It's Chuck Woody.
Yeah, but I don't believe you're pronouncing it right. But anyway, like performance wise, he did great, but I don't believe that.
I thought performance wise he was way better than Jonathan Majors.
I don't think, but you hate Jonathan Majors. I don't think that Jonathan.
I don't hate Jonathan Majors. I love Jonathan Majors.
Chuck Woody, okay.
I
Chuck
hated
Woody,
Jonathan Majors. I hated Jonathan Majors in Creed 3, but his performance in this was better than Jonathan Majors' performance in Ant-Man 3.
I don't know. It's just two different performances. Like Jonathan Majors, I think, was going from more.
They're
like
different, but I believe
this guy was nuts.
I believe this guy more. Like when he was going wild.
Well, yeah, towards the end. Steve,
Yeah.
did you see Ant-Man 3 by any chance?
No.
All right, so you can't compare then. But listen, I will say it was refreshing to have a villain who was just pure evil. There's no.
My thing is if they're gonna have to replace Jonathan Majors because of whatever reasons that are out there right now with the sexual assault cases and everything else, I think you could realistically replace him with Chuck Woody. And
well, I think there is a
if they have to. I'm saying if they have
not a theory, but there is a like a consensus out there that they should rewrite the High Evolutionary's backstory, meaning like separated from the comics, and just say that he's a Kang variant. They didn't kill him at the end of this movie. Rocket left him alive.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, they left him in the ship, and his ship exploded. So you assume he's dead, but we didn't see a body, right? It's movie magic. If they didn't see a body, then it can always come back. So you could easily kind of say he's actually a Kang variant.
Yeah, that reveal when they take off his first face and he's got the second face.
Dude, I was not expecting it to be that brutal.
Amazing.
What was more brutal, that or Two-Face from The Dark Knight?
Oh,
that was by far.
That
got shredded by a raccoon.
You know what's funny, when they show Rocket, so basically when Rocket tries to escape, his friends that he made while he's being tortured all get killed, and out of anger he just slices up the High Evolutionary's face. We don't really see it. The camera's zoomed in, it's kind of hidden and obscured. There's some blood there, but you don't really see what happens. And then at the end, Gamora peels his face off, and his jaw is showing. You can see everything moving on the inside, all the muscles. It was freaking brutal. That was
that scene was horrible. I hated seeing Floor die.
You hate seeing who?
Floor.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
Floor was so fucking sweet.
I tell you what, man, James Gunn, just every movie he makes, he knows how to take just characters that you really don't expect to get that attached to, and before you even realize it, they're like your favorite characters in the movie, and then he kills them, and you're just like, no, please don't do this.
That was rough.
Not only was it rough
Floor and Lila.
Yeah, it was Floor, Teefs, and Lila.
Yeah,
to see the three of them, once just the reveal of them being shot, I was like, oh my gosh, and then you see them in heaven. Which I was just like, what? Why are we doing this? Why, Mr. Gunn? I will say, because I'm a jumper in the scene when he's talking to his people in heaven, and she calls him a raccoon, and he's like, I'm not a raccoon, and then he gets sucked down.
Yeah.
It made me jump in my seat. I'm not ashamed to say it. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, that's right. I like
that. Made you jump.
It made me. I'm a jumper. I can't help it.
When
I get so sucked into it.
When he finds all the baby raccoons and he reads the thing and it says raccoon, and he's just like, oh, that's why I am a raccoon.
Again, this is the genius of not just Kevin Feige and James Gunn, but this is why you plan ahead with these
Yeah.
storylines. James Gunn has said that he basically knew the third movie was going to focus on Rocket Raccoon. He had some ideas of how it was going to tie in. Back in Guardians 1, people call him a raccoon, and he either ignores it or he says, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
What's the
Did they
raccoon? I'm not a
ever
raccoon.
find that Easter egg from the first one?
I believe I think so. I don't know what it was, but I think so. I think he did say that they found the final Easter egg. He must have said it somewhere if they found it. But and from the very first one, Rocket's constantly like, I'm not a raccoon, or I don't know what that is. Like, don't call me raccoon, whatever. And then in here, you find out that he really didn't know what the hell a raccoon was. And the moment he sees it, he owns it. And really talk about a fist pumping line when the High Evolutionary has him up against the ceiling and he hits that button to turn off, to deactivate, I guess, the gravity or whatever, and lands and goes, I'm Rocket Raccoon, and then shoots him. I was like, yo, fuck yes. Screw this guy, man.
It was such a redeeming moment for Rocket. Now that he's the leader of the Guardians.
Let's talk about that. I don't know if I can get an image of it, but let's talk about that. The new Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're the comic book guy, Carmine. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, listen, the Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics has always had like a convoluted, because the teams changed so many times. So it doesn't matter really. Like they can put together whatever team of weird miscreants they want to for these movies and make it work.
True.
Because Guardians, you got to remember something, like they had a run in the 70s and 80s, kind of disappeared until the early 2000s. Then came back, and they've been in and out and everything like that. They've been different teams, there've been different iterations. So for them to like go on to the new Guardians of the Galaxy and it's this team, I don't see a problem with it. I do like that they added in 5L.
Right. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't in the comics at some point she's Captain Marvel? Doesn't she take on that name at some point?
Yeah, so she's what is it? She is attached to Captain Marvel, but I don't think she ever takes on the Captain Marvel name. But she actually has a relationship with Moondragon, who is Drax's daughter.
Which doesn't exist in the...
Which doesn't exist in the
right
MCU.
now, doesn't exist.
As far as we know, doesn't exist in the MCU, but that doesn't mean that they won't go back to it at all. 5L was like a Kree general or something along those lines. She was in the original Captain Marvel, like not Carol Danvers Captain Marvel, the male Captain Marvel comics.
Yeah, I got you.
So it's a little convoluted, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like they can add in all of the. I'm trying to remember what her. She had another name, 5L. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that being said, like the new team looks great. You got Adam Warlock. You got giant Groot.
Freaking. I think Vin Diesel
Alpha
called
Groot?
him King Groot.
Yeah.
Is it King or Alpha?
I mean, the Groot thing is a weird. Yeah, I think it's Alpha Groot.
So Vin Diesel called him King Groot, but
I'm
he
pretty
made
sure
excited and called him whatever he wanted to call him.
Yeah, that's just Vin Diesel being Vin Diesel.
Let's
It's
talk
Dom
about
Groot.
It's family. You brought up Adam Warlock. Let's talk about him for a second. Let me pull up an image of him here. So for me, I'm not a giant comic book fan or comic book nerd. I don't know Adam Warlock that well besides the Infinity Saga in the comics. I really loved his portrayal here, but I hear a lot of people did not like it. So Steve,
it wasn't.
What did you think, Steve?
I loved it. Which I mean, I don't.
But you're
I
like
don't,
me though, right? Like we don't know him from the
I don't
comics
follow
that
the comic book version of Adam Warlock, but the MCU version, phenomenal. I loved it.
I thought it was funny. My one problem though, and this is something that's a kind of a concern of mine for a few of the characters, like Captain Marvel, for him, it's like if you make a character that's too powerful, then you get that little bit of that Superman syndrome where it's like, why should I ever be worried? Because he's immensely powerful. The fact that Adam Warlock in this movie is ridiculously powerful. I mean, fucking people up like it's nobody's business, but it's kind of like so easily distracted and manipulated and dumb. It kind of brings his power level down a little bit because you can kind of trick him. To me, like that was a good balance, kind of.
That's the problem.
Yeah, as a comic book guy, what's your take?
So it's very inaccurate to the comic book version of Captain Marvel of Adam Warlock. However, I thought it worked for this movie. Like I thought this was the Adam Warlock you needed in this movie. He was closer to him than it was Adam Warlock, and for comic knowledge out there, him is what Adam Warlock's original name was when he was first born out of the cocoon. They just called him him. They didn't give him the name yet. So it was a quick progression in this movie to see him go from like him to Adam Warlock very, very quickly. But it was kind of like at the beginning he was used as a weapon until he kind of had figured out his own sentience type of thing. And in this, it was, I think it just happened so quickly that it's jarring for people that grew up reading Adam Warlock comics.
Right. I mean, the only comic I read, like I said before, was the Infinity War comic.
Yeah.
And he's nowhere near the same character in this movie as he was in that comic.
You got to remember something, like Adam Warlock at one point in the comics, it was so powerful that he was in charge of guarding the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
Like
this Adam Warlock should not be in charge of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Absolutely not. Like,
I mean, I'm in. Let him do it.
I'll watch that movie.
And that's the problem. Like you mentioned that, like when you have this all powerful like Superman type of character, Adam Warlock is a Superman type of character in Marvel Comics. Like you have a few. There's the three that come to mind that are closest to Superman are Adam Warlock, Blue Marvel, and Sentry.
Right.
Like those three, but they're very similar characters in and of themselves that you can kind of swap them out for each other. So he is supposed to be kind of like the Superman of the MCU, but
it makes sense. I mean, obviously we didn't see him do laser eyes or any of that kind of those powers, but for his look, his style, and the way he fought and stuff like that, seemed very Superman. I will say though,
he's variably indestructible at this point. Like,
I have one complaint though about that. It's not really about Adam Warlock. It's just kind of a nitpick on the movie. At the very end, so for everyone who's watched it, you guys know, basically they save the day. They beat High Evolutionary. They save all the creatures and people on the High Evolutionary ship. The last person to get off the ship is Quill. He drops his Zune. He goes to grab it. He comes back. He's floating through space. My problem with this moment, because it's very emotional. He's floating through space in slow motion. He kind of gets stopped by debris. Groot's trying to reach out, but he can't because his branches are freezing and cracking. We see Quill get not frozen, but iced over essentially. We see his face fucking balloon up.
Yeah.
And then Adam Warlock, slowly does a Jesus pose and wants the Michelangelo Jesus pose, whatever that is, and brings him onto the ship. And Quill is almost immediately okay. To me, I can't understand. How does Quill survive?
Do you know the name of that finger touch pose that they did?
No.
The actual name.
It's Adam something, right?
It's the creation of Adam.
Okay, so that makes sense why they did that, but
so it makes sense.
Quill should not survive there. I'm not saying story-wise he needed to die and all that stuff, but like
they made it look like he was so close to death.
There's no way. His face blew up. His body's like, starting to, I don't know, implode or whatever the implication was. He was out there for a long time, and he's not a Celestial anymore.
Yes.
And back in Guardians 1, he survived because he, got let his breath out, and he had that Celestial blood, so he could kind of survive a little bit. He was a little stronger than your average, hero. Here, he lost it. In Guardians 2, he destroyed the source of that power. He's just human, 100%. And
I never liked that angle for him, though.
I never did either, but still, though, like that just makes it even more that he should have died. He should not have survived that, no matter how. Plus, Adam Warlock took his time. I mean, fucking just slowly posing. I'm like, bro, grab him. What are you doing? Like, and then that leads me to the other like little nitpick I have is when they have the whole final space battle at the end, right? Rocket is in his own ship. Quill's in a ship. Gamora, I think, was in a ship. We see the windshields get cracked open and explode and stuff. You're in space. Like you're shown that these guys can't breathe or survive in space without suits. Once the windshield cracks, how are you still like okay? It doesn't make sense to me. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. However, it's nitpick,
there's
right?
a lot of space inaccuracies when it comes to
it's a comic book movie. You know what I mean? Like I have to get over it, but like those are probably my two only nitpicks out of the entire movie, and really that's saying something because I like to nitpick on every little thing.
I really didn't have much.
Smiling at Steve.
You're nitpicking the movie about like space when there's a talking raccoon, a talking tree.
All right, but you established.
I'm just saying,
you gotta
like,
follow those rules.
So mad about Realism
in
when
Guardian,
it's not
in Guardians
realistic at
2,
all.
that talking raccoon developed little suits so they could just go and they put a space suit over them. So I guess we forgot those exist. So they didn't use those in this one. Like that would have been an easy explanation. Hit the button, boom, done. You just float. Or what happened to Quill's mask? We already saw in Guardians 1 that mask he has, he just hits the button, good. He's okay in space.
Yeah.
Forget his hair and his skin. You know, we'll
he didn't have the mask on once the entire movie.
No. I mean, I guess they just got tired of spending the money on the CG for that. But that's a trend.
I want to know where
I mean, even in Ant-Man 3, they're taking their helmet off every 2 seconds just to say hi. And I'm like, bro, go ahead.
Who gave him the 2000s music playlist?
So that I think that was pretty much like
it's the same MP3 player that Yondu and Kraglin gave him in the first one.
Like they just found a Zune and it was already loaded with music up to the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought you saw the first two. No,
he's been working his way through the playlist. That's why you see Rocket finally click on the 2000s.
Yeah.
If you notice, most of the movie, even in the Christmas special, that's why the Christmas music that's playing in Nowhere is the Smashing Pumpkins, because they were still in the 90s.
Right.
Since we're jumping around here, did you see the headline of the newspaper on the second end credits?
Yes.
Yeah, with the Kevin Bacon gets abducted.
Kevin Bacon
gets abducted. The grandfather scene killed me at the end too.
Yeah. So let's talk about when we got emotional. The moments we got emotional, because there's a few in there. Yeah. I want to go to you, One Shot, because I know you're a big puss.
I didn't cry.
No,
I didn't get emotional at all.
You got emotional. Tell me what
you're full of shit. You're full of shit.
Don't try and man up for the podcast. You be honest. The camera's on you, buddy.
Take me off full screen. I got this fucking spot on my nose. It's annoying me.
He's a big puss, this guy. I got emotional a few times, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, me too.
There were quite a few.
All right, so tell me which ones you got emotional on.
Pretty much anything. With Rocket fucking dying, Rocket going to heaven.
Rocket going to heaven was ridiculous. That really got me.
Floor dying. That upset me so goddamn much.
Well, I'm not a big fan of animal cruelty in movies anyway. Generally, when animals bite the bullet,
and Nebula hearing Rocket's voice, that fucking got me too.
That was crazy. That was really good. You know what scene got me probably the hardest, and this is because I'm a dad, I guess. Is so we basically we know in Guardians 1 that Drax is in prison for doing some shit out of anger because he lost his wife and kid to Ronan, right? He talks about his kid constantly throughout the series, throughout any appearance he has. He won't dance, though, the whole time. And the fact that what got him to let loose and just allow himself to be silly and dance was his kind of found children at the end. Like that little detail of like the kids were dancing, so he'll dance with them instead of like trying to be stoic and think it's stupid, look down on it. Was like that got me. I was like, damn it, Drax, you freaking did it, Dave Bautista, and you're acting, son of a bitch. That got me for sure. So everyone leaving was an emotional scene. I mean, at the end, at the end, Quill says he's going to go back to Earth, spend time with his actual relatives for a change, stop running from the fact that he lost his mom at such a young age.
It was the first time they really hit on the fact that like his grandfather could possibly still be alive, and that he's never thought about the fact of like his thinking about it in terms of his grandfather. His grandfather lost his daughter, and in the same day lost his grandson.
Right. And didn't even his grandson didn't pass away. Like he legit lost his grandson. Like, from his perspective, his grandson left the room, and now you just don't see him the rest anymore. So that's an emotional, a brutal kind of thing to even realize.
Yeah,
Mantis
that's why.
Kind of the fact that it's a good point looking at it from her point of view, where she said that the moment she was born, she did everything Ego told her to do. And then as much as she loved being a part of the Guardians, the moment she joined them, she's just doing everything they're telling her to do.
Yeah.
And her being like, I got to go do my own shit was like a good for you kind of moment.
Mm-hmm.
I do love the little, the fact that she's so powerful that she create the creature that the Guardians fought in Guardians 2. She basically just tamed 3 of them and they're her pets now. I mean, it's just.
She's like queen of the monster slugs.
Yeah. Look. They're gonna spit rainbows at anybody who comes at her. I love it.
How did you feel about hearing Groot's "I love you guys"?
Well, so James Gunn confirmed that he doesn't say the words "I love you." He says "I am Groot," it for the first time. The fact that it's like us as an audience have kind of learned the language because we've spent so much time with him is just another great detail by James Gunn. And when I first heard it, I was like, out loud in the theater, I went, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
you know,
that's the same thing. I think you saw that too with Gamora, right? Like Gamora the entire time is like, what is he saying? Like, how do you guys understand him? Like, it's just super frustrating. Like, and then by the end of it, he's like, I am Groot, and she's like, yeah, you're right. The things are down over there. Right? I should go grab them. Like she learned a language over.
Well, I'm pretty sure they say
one movie. So
I don't know if they say it in the movies or if I just read it on some like IMDb thing or whatever, that learning Groot's language is not necessarily about like learning English. You don't just learn the different inflections. It's more about the more you connect with Groot, the more you understand that language or his comment, I guess. Yeah, so it's like it just kind of shows you how much Gamora connected with him in this movie alone, but we spent how much time with him. So it's cool.
Bouncing over to Gamora, that scene where she's screaming, fucking crazy.
Which scene?
She's just flipping the fuck out. Talking about how they're not fucking, she's not the Gamora that he knew and all that.
Oh, that whole argument.
She's just going very, off. Like her acting in that was great.
Though that like this is why I get annoyed when someone tries to say like that the Marvel movies are not cinema or try to kind of downplay the movies. Like these actors are giving us A+ performances.
Yeah,
they're not phoning it in. That argument between her and Quill that you're talking about, where she's like, what's so broken in you that you need me to be something for you? Like, it felt like such a real argument between two people where one has a history and the other one doesn't remember it. Yeah. I will say my other little nitpick though, speaking of that, is that they kept talking about how this is the same Gamora. She just doesn't remember us. When it's like, do you guys not realize that it's a whole different person? It's not the same person at all. Like, it was like weird the way they kind of dealt with that.
I mean, technically it's the same one.
It's technically the same Gamora.
But it's not that they kept saying that she doesn't remember our experiences. She didn't have those experiences.
She didn't get to live out the experiences they had.
That's what I'm saying. So like,
Gamora.
But them saying that she just doesn't remember us is weird to me. That's not what happened. She never met you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I understand that it would be hard for Peter or Nebula to kind of wrap their heads around that, but to keep saying she just forgot us.
Nebula seems to have it wrapped around pretty well. Because she's the one that keeps saying like, it's the same Gamora. She just doesn't know who we are. Like
maybe actually, now that you say that, maybe the explanation to that is that Nebula was trying to almost dumb it down for Peter.
Yeah,
to help him kind of just wrap his head around the fact that she's not going
to. But that's what leads to the problem, right? Because not a problem for the movie, but the problem for Peter is that he knows that she's the same Gamora because he knows that also. Right. So he's constantly trying to reignite the spark that was between them, but she's a completely different Gamora because she didn't get that initial meeting with him.
Right.
She's a Ravager now.
He didn't save her from floating in space.
Yes.
Right, basically.
Yeah, they didn't get to have that one-on-one time that they had and the talking and all that. So
I think his problem is he didn't tell her the story of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. All right, that's definitely a problem also.
I think that he completely forgot that's what
But for him, it's got to be super frustrating, like knowing that you had this love in this person. It is the same person, but because she doesn't have the same memories and the same experiences that the other person did that you were in love with, like it seems like you can't get back to that place with her, and like that's such a deep thread to be pulling on, because it's like are all of our interactions with people, like due to memories and interactions, like the relationships we have with people in our lives, would they be the same if we met them in a different situation?
This is turning into a whole new deep dive.
Well, this is how good James Gunn is.
But that's what it is. It's like,
it is. I agree with you.
Let me ask you this question: does Peter end up dating Nebula?
I look like they were going to, man. I like
her and her. He picked out a great shade.
I never realized how black your eyes were. Do you think though that they actually go through with that and have them date?
I don't think they will.
I don't think so either. I think it's better that they just kind of have this like respect for each other. Again, Nebula's come so far. Like to me, for her to become like a love interest is silly. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's kind of cool that Pete's on Earth now, because now it opens up a new avenue for us for when stuff starts going wrong on Earth, that Pete might be able to get him. He's still Star-Lord. Like
he said he's going to return.
Yeah, they said
and he's got
to.
you figure he's got to have some sort of connections with some of the people from the Avengers and all that stuff like that he fought with before. He's still got to have some sort of way of getting in touch with them.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, though, a real good payoff would be if in a future movie that takes place on Earth, like some shit's going down, and it just as like a quick cameo, it kind of cuts to somebody grabbing like a hot dog in the like on the stand, and they turn around and it's Chris Pratt, and he's like goes to like run towards it, and it's like, oh wait, no, I don't do that anymore, and he just walks away. Like I would love that. I would absolutely. Now let me ask you this question, cool. Steve. We've been talking more and more. I know Carmen, I talked to you about it too, but Steve and I have been just kind of going hard on some of these fight scenes. Would you say that the hallway fight scene at the end of this movie, where all of them are just like, we're gonna take down the High Evolutionary, is the best fight scene, extended sequence, I guess, that we've seen in any MCU movie?
In any MCU movie?
Any MCU movie.
I have to think about that. I mean, it was good. I don't know.
I'd have to rewatch. I want to say no, but I'd have to rewatch.
I feel like it's top 5, probably.
I mean, top 5 I can give you. I don't know if it's the best. Because, like, is it better than them trying to take down Thanos on Titan?
See, I don't think so.
No.
I think that, I would put that up above it. I would put...
that's what I'm saying.
The
Civil War airplane
Hulk versus Hulkbuster.
Yeah, the airport scene. Hulk versus Hulkbuster. That's
probably the Captain America
Bucky
Soldier fight on the highway.
I don't know. Bucky
Cap
and
I mean the end of Winter Soldier
fighting each other.
Yeah, Cap.
I don't know if it's top 5 now. Now you're saying about it, I think it was,
we just
maybe top 10. Maybe top 10.
It was a good fight scene though in this movie. Just to see all of them fighting together, using their powers, like it was just phenomenal.
No, I mean, listen, it's probably the best one out of any Guardians movie.
Yes, I feel like hands down, it's got to be the best out of all the Guardians movies.
Yeah, it's got to be the best out of any of the Guardians movies. But I mean, in the whole MCU, that's a big. It's a good
action scene. We'll agree on that one.
Yeah, it's great
action scene. I feel like there was a lot of really good action scenes. I mean, the first action scene with Adam Warlock in Nowhere is like decent, but it's more of like he just keeps throwing people around and more to kind of showcase his powers more than anything else. But the scene where they are in the High Evolutionary's throne room essentially, and throws the grenade and just goes, all right, like kill them all, and then all of a sudden Groot just opens up and has got so many guns, and then they just start going to town.
Great spot.
Such a good, just a phenomenal thing. Got my blood going.
I love that moment so much.
I think my favorite moment is just the simplest moment of them all,
which is
when he looks at Nebula and says, "Get in the fucking car."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
First F-bomb. First F-bomb.
That's the first unfiltered F-bomb, and honestly, they chose a phenomenal spot. Yeah, that whole moment where he's like, push the button. There's a button below the handle, and she's like, okay, I pushed it. Now what? Open the fucking door. Like, just
get in the fucking car.
So Chris Pratt told a quick story about that, where he said that a lot of directors now they'll film the scene as written, and then they start kind of saying, try it this way, try that, do this, do that. They let the actors improv. And Chris Pratt told a reporter that generally speaking, especially if it's not a rated R movie, when the actors start dropping F-bombs, that's kind of them saying to the director, I'm over this, let's move on. And he goes, and then James Gunn said, I'm going to use that one and kept it in the movie. Which I'm like, it really cracked me up. Honestly, that whole sequence, right, with Drax laying on the couch and they're just yelling at him, get your feet off the couch. And he's like, what's what it's there for? And they're like, no, it's not. Sit down. And he's like, oh, like just that.
It's just shoulder to shoulder with. Why would you sit shoulder to shoulder on this? Yeah. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Like, it's that.
I do like that the new Earth that they go to, or Alter Earth. Counter Earth,
that's what they call it. Yeah.
Counter Earth is like still set in like the 90s,
right?
Like late 80s, early 90s, like era of Earth, and the High Evolutionary is just like, this is the worst thing ever. I have to destroy the entire planet.
I tell you what, that's the other thing too. Just briefly going back to the conversation about whether High Evolutionary is better than Kang, like. I think we talked about this with the Quantumania, Carmine. I think you and I talked about this for that movie, but like for that deep dive, I should say, we haven't. It's kind of the Darth Vader syndrome. We're told he's this horrible person. He can do so much damage. You don't want to mess with Kang. Janet Van Dien is like, you have no idea what's down there. You can't, whatever. Show us. We haven't seen him. Not only have we not seen him, do anything bad, but he got beat by ants. I know they were like advanced and they had technology, whatever, but like in the end, when you really think about it, he lost that battle to ants.
It's
Here, the High Evolutionary, we saw him kill, or he got, I should say. We saw him torture animals. Rocket's friends were killed. We saw fucking
atrocity after atrocity.
Right. He murdered Adam Warlock's mom, for a lack of a better word. And then he basically blew up Counter Earth. I mean, they didn't save the Earth. You know what I mean? Like everyone on that planet was dead. We saw him do ridiculously evil things. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why it makes it hard to kind of compare him to Kang, because they haven't shown us Kang. Maybe that there was a quick montage, right, when Janet Van Dyne touched his seat, his throne, and like you're like, okay, there's an explosion here, there's this here, and Kang's just there, but we didn't see it.
My thing with Kang is this.
Wait, Steve, I think we lost you. Oh no, you're muted. You muted.
No, I muted myself. It's Van Dyne.
No, Van Dyne.
It's definitely Van Dyne.
I know.
It's Van Dyne.
But now, just because
I wanted to fight you the first time you fucking said it.
It's not Casper Van Dien.
Well, why didn't you correct me the first time I said it?
I didn't think you'd say it again. I was like, yeah, all right. He said it once. We'll be good with it. And then you just got to keep saying fucking Van Dien.
So my issue, and this is the issue that I thought they were going to run into with Kang. Kang is a very complicated villain because there's not one of them. Like there's
but
so
it's how do you show that, right? I guess that's where they're struggling.
Yeah, they're struggling with that, and like everybody's like, "Oh, Kang's supposed to be this," like just what you said. Like he got beat by ants. Like that's not the most powerful Kang,
right?
Like that's the Kang that was able to be taken out by the rest of the Kangs. And that's how powerful they are.
That's my point, though. Like I feel like the fact that people are so quick to be like, "Oh, High Evolutionary needs to take over," but I'm like, we haven't really seen Kang. Like we haven't seen the scary Kang. You know what I mean? We've seen a few iterations of Kang, but like there's definitely one out there that's going to be like Thanos. The problem is that
Kang as an individual isn't really a scary villain. It's the Council of Kangs that's the scary part. Like
and that's what they got to show.
They have to start showing us that. I think I know everybody was hyped as soon as they announced Kang, and a lot of people were like really into it and everything like that. I was wary at the beginning, because I thought that this might be a problem down the road, of how you show, like how you state, like they really should have deviated heavily from the comics.
Well, see, I would argue that the problem is they're not leaning into it enough. Like by now, we're into phase 5 now, right? For lack of a better term, we're into like the actual multiversal saga where now we're sprinting to Kang Dynasty. They should have already filmed a bunch of cameos for Kang. What I think is, honestly, Kang should have been a different variation of Kang, should have been a villain in multiple movies already. We should have just seen him.
But they didn't have those movies to do it.
Why? Well, but my thing is, listen, it's Marvel.
Because they spent an entire phase buttoning up all of the old storylines.
I don't disagree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
You could put Jonathan Majors, you can literally tell him, paint one room in your house green, and then here's your lines. And just film hours and hours and hours of footage, and we're going to insert you into different things. And I feel like that's what they should have done, because what we need to see as an audience,
I don't think it would have made much sense.
No, my point is, what we need to see is that they kill Kang, quote unquote kill Kang, but in the next movie he's back again. They kill him, there's another one. They kill him, there's another one, and just kind of see him, and you can almost kind of start to build up this like fear of like, is he ever gone? You know what I mean?
It's a convoluted villain to be using, and
I agree.
I don't know if they're going to be able to stick the landing on this. From what this movie showed me,
needs to be seen, I guess.
From what this movie showed me is that what I've been saying for the last few movies, I think is really showing to be true now, is that they need to find their voice, their director, their creator, that's going to do these movies justice, and they're searching for him, because they're
Justin Daniel is the guy for Shang-Chi. I couldn't think of his name before.
Because they're trying a bunch of different things, right? They're trying a bunch of different directors, different writers, and everything like that. And that's what they did in phase 1. And it took them a while to get their footing. right? Once they landed on the Russos, they were like, okay, we have the guy, right?
And the problem
like,
is in phase 1, we didn't know what to expect. So we were eating up these characters that no one thought would ever actually get the big screen treatment.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. In phase 1, they gave us like Kenneth Branagh directs Thor. It was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They gave it, Favreau had Iron Man, was a knockout of the park. I don't remember who directed the first Captain America, but first Captain America is just like a very like standard big.
Yeah, like it's good, but it's not like
but it's nothing special. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing special until you get to the Russos with Winter Soldier.
Well, I guess I would argue that Joss Whedon was the first guy to kind of get a consistent tone, right? Avengers kind of started it, and the Russos got Winter Soldier, but everything else Joss Whedon kind of had his hand in through Age of Ultron. Then the Russos really took over.
Yeah, and Whedon only did Avengers 1 and 2.
Yeah, but he was heavily involved in all the storyline to make sure it matched.
I don't know if that's true.
That's 100% true. That's why he was like not the Kevin Feige, but he was like the top dog under Kevin Feige for all the movies. Then the Russos took over, and that's kind of what ran us to the finish line with Infinity War. That's why everything kind of felt the right way. You know what I mean? But he only lasted till Age of Ultron, then he was done.
Yeah, I think they really need to find the directors and creators that are gonna really take this thing home. And if they find those, we're good. If they don't, we're going to have some serious problems. And I think so. There's two things going on with the MCU, in my opinion, that we saw in the Infinity Saga that we haven't gotten yet in this saga, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. One, it's your directors, right? Because they haven't found the right creators for anything yet. And two, it's the focal point. There is no Iron Man was the focal point of the Infinity Saga.
Right, 100%. Iron Man and Captain America.
100% the focal point of the. Besides, the only movies that didn't focus somewhat on something having to do with Iron Man was Guardians
and Doctor Strange, maybe, but that was
but even Doctor Strange went back. Everything that Doctor Strange was doing went back to what Tony had started.
I don't know if I agree with that.
The Elementals.
Did you say something, Steve?
No, not important.
I can barely hear him.
So you have to find the focal point of what's going to be your focal point for.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. I feel like they want it to be Shang-Chi for the multiverse saga, because just the fact that his rings were clearly linked to Kang, and Wong is there and whatever. But like, you can't go so many movies without even replicating it. I mean,
you can, but you have to give us some sort of
breadcrumbs. Like, there's got to be a through line. I mean, think about this. Eternals happened. Whether you liked it or not, it happened. Okay? A fucking celestial started coming out of the earth. And how many movies have passed now? And there's not one reference. There's no...
No, we did. We've gotten 2 references to it.
Which one? Oh, yeah, we did get 2 small references to it.
Yeah, small references to it.
I mean, we got a newspaper clipping about Kevin Bacon. Why can't we have somebody talking about the?
We got a newspaper clipping about the Eternals.
No, but why? But at this point, as far as I know, so much time has passed since that happened. There should be a colony or something established on the fucking fingertip of the Eternal. Like, there should be some sort of connection, like, and there's really nothing. I'm like, what the? We don't know if they're coming back. We don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, we don't know anything, and that's the issue. Is that because there's no focal point, everything feels so fractured.
It really does.
It feels all over the place. And
there is an argument, though. I saw a theory on Reddit that basically was saying that what if the MCU, what if Kevin Feige in particular, has secretly basically been showing us stories that take place in different universes. So in other words, like Eternals is its own universe, which is why no one's really referenced it. There's not many references of it in the rest of the movies. Shang-Chi is its own universe, maybe the mainline universe.
I would hate everything having to do with that.
How about Ant-Man? This was another theory.
I mean,
Ant-Man
why would you hate that?
Because it would be a cop-out. It would be them saying, like, listen, we know we've been fucking this all up, so everything's a different universe, guys.
See, I wouldn't take it as a cop-out. I would take it more as Kevin Feige, again, being a little bit of a mastermind, has basically been giving us stories that are setting up the inevitable incursion that we're going to deal with in Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars.
A nice tactician.
Right. And think of this, like Ant-Man in Quantumania, right? At the end of that movie, he beats Kang. As far as we know, he defeats Kang, he comes back home, everything's hunky-dory. Our biggest complaint was that at the end, Cassie is able to just kind of click, create a new portal, boom, he's back. It's all wrapped up so easily. there's a theory going on that what if he didn't come back to his world, his universe? You know, he has that whole moment where the coffee shop guy calls him Ant-Man instead of Spider-Man, and everything seems fine, but he feels like something's off. Everything just seems wrapped up too much, and he's just kind of like, "Did I actually save the day?" But like, what if that's him, like, kind of like almost just in his gut, knowing that he didn't come back to the right timeline?
Wouldn't Cassie and them realize that it's not the same?
Well, as far as he knows, it's not the same Cassie. Maybe they, in their timeline, Ant-Man, they lost him, and then they open a portal. He comes back. He walks through it. Well, it is convoluted. Listen, anything with time travel is going to be convoluted.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be though, because they can go
dimensions. Like,
like it doesn't have to be.
I'm with you, Steve. I think that if we find out that certain movies are in one universe, certain movies are in another universe, like, to me, that's just a genius way of setting up the Kang Dynasty.
Very smart to do it,
and it would be an easier through line to the Secret Wars than we've gotten so far, because
they're obviously leading into something with the end of Doctor Strange.
Right. Well, they flat out mention incursions in that movie, and we were told that Doctor Strange 2 is essentially telling us what the plan is for the remainder of the MCU. So like, or of the saga. So like, clearly that means that incursions. I mean, we know Secret Wars is coming, right? So incursions are happening. We know that. Why is my watch talking to me? We know that incursions are happening. Maybe what we're seeing right now is the incursions beginning. And Captain Marvel, I don't know if you saw the trailer, but it starts off with what looks like Monica Rambeau kind of investigating a weird space anomaly, and it looks exactly like an incursion. The same way it looked like the way Doctor Strange when he did the No Way Home spell, like the tears in time or in the multiverse, it looked like that. So I think that's what I would like to believe that theory, and I hope it comes true.
It's just so hard for me to go with that theory because they've already connected some movies, right?
Yeah, well, not every movie. A couple of movies here could be in one universe. A couple of movies there can be another universe.
But you have connections throughout, be loose ones, right?
I mean, I would argue. I want to go through and do like a deep dive on exactly what connects to what, because I would argue that there's maybe two movies that connect in a very clear way, but not everything connects. WandaVision and Doctor Strange, that connects. Shang-Chi and Quantumania, I would probably say, because the rings look exactly like the Kang technology.
Yeah, but Shang-Chi's in our universe because
that's the mainline universe, because Wong is there, Hulk is there.
You have Wong, you have Captain Marvel, you have Banner, right? Moon Knight, we don't know where that one is.
No idea where that could be its own universe.
That could be its own universe. So it's got no connections to anything, right? Black Panther obviously is connected to our universe.
But now, why do you say that though? Because there's no other heroes that show up. There's nothing linking. Like, it literally is a standalone movie.
Yeah, Martin Freeman.
Yeah, but where else did he pop up? Maybe Vanessa, whatever her name is.
He's popped up in
Black Panther.
Yeah, but he's also been in.
He was in Captain America: Civil War for a quick cameo.
Yeah, Civil War. You know,
that's a very loose connection.
I mean, it's still.
But you had the Namor reference in Endgame.
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't a Namor reference. There was just an earthquake.
Yeah.
Underwater.
Yeah, but this is
in Wakanda.
But they didn't near Wakanda.
Oh,
they didn't flat out say Namor.
Your connection. Sorry, Okoye is your connection.
Oh yeah, she showed up in a few other things.
Yeah, she's and the Dora Milaje showing up in Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Okoye didn't show up in Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Falcon Winter Soldier, rather. No, but the Dora Milaje did. Yeah.
Yeah, but they still exist in multiple universes.
Let's
different Dora Milaje.
Let's not go crazy with this here. We know that they're connected.
I'm just
saying.
That
they're connected, right?
We don't know. We don't know.
No, that's still one of the best scenes, by the way, where she takes his arm.
Oh,
he's just staring at it like, what the fuck just happened?
She basically pulled like the old kung fu move where they just go, and then you're just like, oh my god, what the hell?
I can take this off.
Think about it. She pulled a Jonathan Majors punch from Creed 3, the one that you don't like. She did the same thing. She punched him in the shoulder. His arm fell off.
Yeah, that's great. In a comic book movie, it works. In a boxing movie, it's fucking stupid.
I don't know.
I'm never looking to punch somebody in the armpit in a fight. I'm telling you right now, it's not my move.
Let somebody punch you in the armpit. Yeah, let's see how that feels.
The bundle nerves right there.
Yeah,
you should know this. I'm disappointed.
No, I know that it's possible. Is that your first move that you're going to?
I mean, if their arms raised, I'm hitting them right in that fucking spot.
If their arm is raised, if they're sitting there coming at you like this, yeah, that's
what if my fighting style was like this?
Steve, in a boxing match, is that the move you're going for?
Not in a boxing match.
What if I come at you, Carmine? If I come at you like this, right?
Yeah,
are you gonna punch me in the armpit?
No, I'm gonna fucking kick you in the nuts. You come at me like that.
I'm gonna laugh at you.
I'm gonna laugh at you and kick you in the nuts.
But hit you in the fucking jugular notch.
My thing is that there's enough connected where if they go with that theory, there's only a very few that you could say are different.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you don't need to have them all be disconnected, right? Like you could say Eternals is.
I feel like it's more of a cop out than anything for them to be like, oh, we know that everything feels disjointed, but here's why. It's because we're showing you different universes.
I don't think.
Remember, guys, it's the multiverse.
I don't know. I think it fits. It's on theme.
Multiverse is going to be their way of fixing a lot of bullshit.
And that's fucking genius because you can fix any loophole with multiversal theory.
What I find funny is you don't want them to use the multiverse to fix any of the issues they've had with the distortion or the disconnection of all the MCU movies so far.
No, because I'd rather them just make good movies.
No, but you'd be okay with them using the multiverse to just replace Kang and get a new actor to play Kang.
I just don't want Jonathan Majors playing Kang.
But my point is, if that works for that, then it should
work the other thing. They don't have to use the multiverse to do that. They can just replace him like they did Rhodey.
Well, that's true.
And just not talk about it. Like that's fine.
He'll come out onto the screen in the next movie and be like, "Look, I'm here. Okay, deal with it."
Yeah, exactly.
I shaved. Excuse me.
Of that too. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to use the multiverse to explain that away to me. They can just replace his ass and call it a day. Because after I saw Creed 3, I was like, I don't want this guy being Kang.
That's a whole other conversation. If you didn't see it, watch our Creed 3 deep dive because we argue on that one. So what? No, what do we miss? What else about Guardians?
We missed Nathan Fillion in Organo Corp, which was
those outfits that he was wearing. Those uniforms were ridiculous. They're
ridiculous.
They're not good uniforms to be moving around in. I love though his little joke though about like, oh yeah, you got one of those idiots too. Yeah, so do I. And he's like looking over, like that was
this one top notch, great guy, love him, love you, buddy. And then he's looking at it, he's like, you not so much.
I just think that whole scene was just entertaining. It's to see Drax be like, oh, we're just janitors that happen to walk in here and we got here first and whatever, and everyone's just like, Drax, shut up. And it works. I'm like, come on.
The whole movie was so well balanced with action comedy.
It was.
I thought so too. Yeah, I really felt like the emotional moments hit hard because we got some good jokes.
Yeah,
and like levity and stuff like that. So,
the Guardians movie has always been well balanced.
This is definitely the darkest one out of the three.
Oh, 100%.
I am sure.
100% darkest one out of the three. And think about that too, because like in number 2, we find out that Ego is Peter's father, and he gave his mother cancer.
Yeah,
yeah. And we went darker than that.
Darker than that. But that's because it's animal cruelty. Honestly,
yeah.
That's what it comes down to. I feel like the one visual that didn't really work for me was Groot growing wings. That was a little.
There's a little off-putting.
There was the fight in the beginning between Adam Warlock and Drax. You could tell there was a lot of CG.
Yeah, I know exactly the scene you're talking about, and you could see the green screen kind of like it. It almost felt rushed. I guess. I don't know if that was a reshoot or if they just maybe COVID restrictions kind of got in the way, or I don't know what it was, but yeah, there was definitely
a little
that
wonky.
moment.
It was a little wonky, but like, listen, at this point, like I don't even care when they give it. Like this movie was so good that they can give me a little bit of wonky CGI, and I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Cosmo was excellent.
Cosmo was excellent. The introduction of Cosmo, the space dog, was absolutely excellent. The fact that Howard the Duck is
playing cards, casually playing
cards with them in that scene is great.
And that dealer too, the one that they were trying to sell the space stone to in the first movie, he was playing cards with them. Another little callback.
And the leader of the band from the from the Christmas special was playing cards with them too. So it was really cool that they're like bringing this whole little Guardians universe together. Where like these guys are all on nowhere, just chilling. Yeah. So like
it really felt like James Gunn was given free reign to be like, "This is your baby. End it the way you want to end it. We're not going to say anything."
Which
it didn't feel like it tied into anything coming up. It really felt more like this is just the end of the Guardians, and we're gonna kind of move on from it.
Yeah, I mean, what it did for us is give us the new Guardians team, right? Yeah. So there is a Guardians team going forward. Right. It let us know that Nowhere is now like an official like place that Nebula is going to be in charge of. We don't know what's going on with Mantis.
Right.
Where's Drax? Where did Drax end up? I forget.
He stayed on Nowhere with Nebula, so
he stayed on Nowhere.
Run Nowhere. Yeah.
Right, because he's got to take care of the kids.
Yeah.
So Drax and Nebula are on Nowhere. They're controlling that whole area, which is good because now you have a place that you could drop into. Like now they're giving us points that other people can drop into and stuff like that. So like the Marvels can take a stopover in Nowhere,
right? And talk to an old friend.
Yeah, talk to an old friend to figure out something. You know what I mean? So it's giving us this movie. I felt gave us the end of it kind of gave us more of like places to be in the Marvel universe more than like story going forward.
Yeah, I agree.
Like now they have like pit stops that they can make along the way, whatever the main story winds up being.
Right, different characters can kind of call out, "Oh, I'm going to stop here. I know somebody," and even if they don't show that stop, we know who they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like you got Pete on Earth, right? So and Gamora's with the Ravagers. She's with the best.
I feel like that was a good way to take her character.
Yes.
Like have her kind of, she found this group of people that, they're like space pirates. They're not great people, but they're also not terrible people and whatever. And she found a home with them. And I like how at the end of this one, she just didn't become Peter's girlfriend again. She basically went back to her new family. Sylvester Stallone being in the movie was a surprise. I didn't know that he was going to come back.
Yeah. But the most surprising thing is they swerved us. They didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, I was expecting
me up.
But now, do you feel like the movie would have been more emotional or carried more weight if they did kill somebody?
Nah, see, I liked it better this way, to be honest with you. Because the whole time I was expecting it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is where Rocket's going to eat it. This is where and they gave us enough
100%
moments where it was like, this is the moment. Peter's going to die.
That's what bothers
me.
Blue
balled you the whole time.
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of gets to me about the whole scene with Peter at the end when he's in space, because like they clearly held on to that moment so long to make you think like, oh fuck, they're really doing this.
Yeah.
And then they just pulled it out. And I'm just like, but that was too long. Like he's a human guy. There's no way he should have survived. The Rocket scene was brutal. Like him screaming and being like, no, I'm not gonna let him go. Like that was, oh, man, that would have got me. That would have hit me hard if they actually pulled the trigger there. I agree though. I'm glad that with the way it ended. I feel like, having everyone survive but still move on. Nebula basically being like, I don't need to be here anymore. I just want to take care of Nowhere. Drax being like, I want to watch these kids. Like, it really was a cool way to finish it off,
Yeah.
And then having Alpha Groot at the end just being a ginormous meathead that power lifts 800,000 pounds was just a cool little visual.
Yeah, I mean it's a great little thing. I mean, I can see in the future like Thor with Love hooking up with the new Guardians of the Galaxy at some point.
Yeah, kind of joining their group.
Maybe
with the Ravagers.
Whatever. But it leaves enough out there for us to be like, okay, there's ways that they can connect this all down the road, which I thought was very, very smart, especially the way they splintered the group. It makes a lot of sense to me. So hopefully, with what do we have coming up next? Marvels is next.
The Marvels is next.
But we have Secret Invasion next month
on Disney Plus. Yep,
on Disney Plus. Yep. So that's gonna hopefully give us some sort of. Those two movies should give us some.
Secret Invasion will directly bring us into the Marvels.
Yeah,
and then Marvels. Who knows how that's gonna end? I don't even know what part that plays in everything. I mean, I think it clearly the Bengals. I think are similar.
We think they're investigating an incursion, right?
That's what it looks like, right?
It should be an incursion.
The beginning of an incursion. I mean, listen, they only got a year and a half left before we're supposed to start getting. We get to Kang Dynasty.
Yeah,
right. I think the first movie in 2026. So, by the time Marvels comes out, that's June or that's July. I think that's July. I want to say.
Pretty sure it's July.
And then we have something else coming out, I think in August. No, September maybe, and then we have the Thunderbolts in December.
Thunderbolts is in December?
Unless they moved it actually. Hold on, let me look it up. I don't know why I'm guessing here. We have, let's see, the Spider-Man Across the Multiverse, which that's not. I don't think it's going to really tie in too much to anything at the moment. The Marvels. Oh wait, is this not an updated list? The Marvels to November 10th, but I feel like it's sooner than that. Oh yeah, that was.
I know they pushed it back to November. I'm getting November 10th.
Okay, so
also.
that's November 10th. Guardians of the Galaxy. We have. So then that's it. I guess Thunderbolts they moved it to next year.
Oh, we're getting Echo and Loki too.
Thunderbolt is July of 2024, so they moved that back also. But I don't know if they need the writers right now, but with the writers' strike, there might be some more delays.
Yeah,
I think that'll be more problematic for the shows than the movies, because the movies are probably pretty much done.
Those movies are probably done. Yeah.
Yeah, the
shows.
You
won't have rewrites as much, but the shows are. I mean, Daredevil was delayed. There was a second show that was already delayed. Like the rewrites are we don't even know what's gonna happen now. They might move everything back because the shows are gonna tie into everything, so they can't really just keep pushing forward with the movies without the shows coming out in the right order.
Yeah, because Echo might be getting pushed back. That was going to be the summer of 2023. Loki season 2 is supposed to be the summer of 2023.
Well, that'll still happen, I think, because Loki season 2 was written and filmed and all that stuff already.
Yeah, that should be done already.
That should be fine. Daredevil was definitely pushed back. Blade, actually, no, it will affect the movies. Blade is basically halted production because of the writer's strike.
Yeah, but Blade's been halted production 9 times already. Like that movie's.
I'm just saying.
I honestly don't understand. Like, they were looking for a new director. I don't know if they asked him and he said no, but they should have just given that to Ryan Coogler.
I think he said no, but I also feel like don't come at me. But Mahershala Ali seems like he's a little bit of a diva right now, and from the things I'm reading, he wants more and more control over the creative side of it, and it's causing them to butt heads. You know what I mean? There's a big rumor that he didn't like the fact that Kit Harington's Black Knight, I think his character was going to be, was going to be a bigger, as big of a part of the movie as he was. So he basically fought it until they got rid of the old writer and they removed Kit Harington from the movie, essentially. So like, it sounds.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of agree with that though. Like, it's a Blade movie. Black Knight shouldn't be a big part of that movie.
I don't know. Spider-Man: Homecoming, Iron Man was a big part of that movie. I mean, I imagine that's how much Black Knight was going to be in it.
But they already established that like Iron Man made his suits in previous movies,
but like,
so it makes more sense for that.
Listen,
like, this is
Mahershala Ali. You do Oscar movies. This is the MCU. You let the nerds handle this one. You know
yeah. Look, I don't disagree with you there, but Black Knight I don't think is the right choice. Now, if they said that Moon Knight was going to be like the second in the Blade movie, I'd be like, okay, that makes way more fucking sense, right?
Well, I don't know the comics, like those comics that well, so to me it doesn't matter.
That's my point.
I didn't know they were linked at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like Black Knight and Blade like don't have a huge link in the comics at all. So it really felt shoehorned in from the beginning for me.
Yeah, Mahershala Ali doesn't know that. He just doesn't want to have to share the screen.
You don't know if he knows that or not. Maybe he's a huge Blade nerd. Who fucking knows?
I'll put money on it right now. He doesn't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Sometimes these guys, they get hired for this job. They start reading these comics.
They don't know that.
Because Marvel sends them stacks of comics, and they're like, "Hey, read through all this material." Maybe he dove into it and really loves the fucking character now.
He got it because he looks like Wesley Snipes.
Huh?
Wow, that's racist.
So he got it because he looks like Wesley Snipes.
I don't think he looks like Wesley Snipes.
That's so racist. They don't all look alike, Steve.
Not like that.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And with that, I think we're going to end the stream because I don't want to get canceled. Let's see. Last thoughts. One shot. Steve, what do you think? Last thoughts about Guardians 3.
Which is fucking amazing.
Say it louder. I can't hear you.
It's fucking amazing.
That's still borderline low, but okay. Go ahead, Zuplex.
It's fucking amazing. Is that better? You good?
That's better. Much more in line with the energy.
I think you just knocked your mic back in a sense.
All I know is he had to decode his mic in order to get that loud, so it's a little weird. Go ahead, Carmine.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It really was the best way to end this trilogy. I'm really excited for the DCU now. I can't wait to see what James Gunn does.
The first thing I said to my friends when I came into work the next day, they were like, "What'd you think?" And I went, "Honestly, this movie makes me excited for what James Gunn's going to do with the DCU." I mean, honestly, I've never been really excited for a Superman movie, not even Man of Steel. Even though I ended up liking it, I wasn't excited to see it or like that. After this movie, I'm excited to see James Gunn's version of Superman. I want to see what he does with it. He's already talking about bringing in the super dog. What the heck? Crypto. Like, I'm like, yes, this is exactly why you hire James Gunn to do things like this. So I'm amped for it. I agree. I really have nothing. I nitpicked a little bit, but really, there's not a lot to nitpick. The movie is just that good. If you like the first two Guardians movies, go see the third one in theaters. It's definitely worth it. If you wait till Disney Plus, you're not going to miss anything. It's still phenomenal, but I think it's worth seeing in theaters. Let us know if you're watching us on YouTube what you think, and join us for our next deep dive, which I think is finally going to be Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I watched the movie; it was horrible, but we got to talk about it. Yeah, join us on that one. We're going to shoot for next Tuesday.
Are we actually going to do Shazam finally?
Or we're actually going to do Shazam.
Or you want to just put it on the wheel and debut the wheel tonight?
We could debut the wheel right now, actually. Let's just do that because Shazam was really bad.
But yeah, just put Shazam on the wheel.
Hold on. Okay, I'll put it on the wheel. Sure.
Put it on the wheel.
Let's see. Steve, I don't know if you've seen the wheel before, but
I've seen the wheel.
Don't be giving me that sarcastic attitude.
Yeah, it's so dismissive.
Jesus Christ, that
so
attitude.
Dismissive. Let's find out what movie we're watching for next.
Let's go. Let's get Shazam up here. Fury of the Gods. We're gonna shuffle the list, full screen that bitch, and spin it. Let's see what we got. Our first deep dive off of the wheel is going to be a Sam Raimi film. Nope, Fast and the Furious. Perfect timing.
Fast and Furious 1, baby.
Let's go. Fast and the Furious
I'm in
1.
for Fast 1. I love that fucking.
All right, so right now we're gonna shoot for next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Fast and the Furious 1. Let's all watch it and let's get some notes, and we're gonna talk about this movie and dissect the shit out of it. Like and subscribe, get all the notifications up all across all the social medias, and we will see you guys on the next Theater Room movie review and deep dive. I'll see you guys later.